Right, to you Geordie journos, you've all seen the news. Proposals for a new badge. I say proposals, Newcastle United want a new badge.
Yes.
And that's what is going to dominate the landscape of Newcastle United probably for today and for the next week, I would imagine, with supporters being given the option to decide whether they'd like to, what was it, the 3 R's? Refine, revive, redesign.
Redesign.
It's the 3 options that everyone, obviously, as you now know, will have the choice to make. We've just been given a presentation on the proposals. Nothing revealed beyond what you guys will see out there at the moment. But what I want to start this video with was more the feeling behind it. What do you feel about it, Dom?
I think it's something that always felt like was inevitable, really, where you see the trend. A lot of clubs are going down, your biggest clubs. I mean, what was pointed to us in the presentation, the examples were Inter Milan, who've refined their badge, Man City, who've sort of reimagined their badge, and then Juventus, who've gone a complete different direction and almost completely redesigned their badge. These are some of the biggest clubs in Europe, and even you look at Manchester City, they've done similar. Arsenal have a very simplistic design, and one thing that's been branded as actually a critical error of Newcastle.
That's what they said in the critical error.
Yeah,
Critical failure.
Which is even stronger, of Newcastle's badge is it's almost too intricate, too complicated, and I get that. I do really love the badge, and I'm sure we'll get on to that. It's sort of buried in the history and culture of Newcastle as a city, but there are, from a branding point of view, which is what we've been speaking about today, there are potential shortcomings when you're looking, is it instantly recognisable to the, not Newcastle fans, but to the broader global audience which Newcastle want to reach?
The answer to that is yes, by the way. This has purely been done for marketing purposes. This has purely been done for reproduction purposes. It was mentioned in there.
Yeah.
The complexity of modern embroidery or whatever it was, or machinery that reproduces these badges, about upgrading the quality of it. So it's all about simplifying what they currently have, which is essentially what the club said today they want to do, simplify what they already have. My opinion on that is, I've never been against change, but change has to be for the better. And my thoughts on this are, this change probably won't be for the better.
I think it'll be,
and I'll explain that in a second if you want.
Yeah, I just think any change to something quite traditional and something that has been almost symbolic of probably one of the best eras of Newcastle United, Premier League era, playing in the Champions League, winning a cup. It's going to be hard to almost stomach any sort of change, even if it is in 10, 15 years' time. You go, oh, that was actually quite
it's not
nice
for
one.
The change is not a problem for me as a person. I'm all right to change, and I'm all right to change. And even a badge that, look, it was an 80s incarnation, a bit of a bastardization in some ways of the City badge, and has its oddities. If you want to think of it from a design perspective, it's a bit of a copycat, but not really a copycat, and there's some elements, and they've sort of hinted at that in the piece. So it's probably not a badge you would choose, but because it's aligned to Newcastle United, because it's the badge that Newcastle United lifted their first trophy. It wasn't a badge they used to lift trophies in.
No.
So that's the difference, isn't it? Is change, can change be a good thing? Change can be a good thing. However, I think the redesign, which is what they want to do, has to be done properly. And if you're going to simplify this current badge, I'll probably in many ways be more akin to redesigning the thing. If you're going to change it, possibly redesign it. And if you're going to simplify it, Newcastle United have had some of the best, I would say, simplistic badges of any football club in England.
Yeah.
If you go back to the designs of the 1980s, the magpie, the castle, key, iconic badge, not iconic team or time, but iconic badge.
Yeah.
The NUFC even probably a touch
too
simplistic, being brutally honest, and doesn't really encompass any connection with anything, the city or the heritage or the history. So I see why you wouldn't go down that route. But just to essentially wash out the current badge and make it worse would be a bit strange, in my opinion. I'm not really for that. I think it's odd.
It's not an easy badge to simplify either. Because I would say Newcastle's badge is probably one of the most complex.
It is,
but that's what makes it so unique and so special to me. I think it's for you guys as well. It's the only badge we've ever
It's all I've ever known, isn't it?
ever
really?
known. And I know you said you're open to change. I think change always scares me a little bit. And it's a process that they absolutely have to get right. And I think one thing they did portray in there is that it is a very sensitive subject, and how the club go about expressing this idea to fans, I think, is a very difficult thing to do. They've got to get it right, and how they do that, it's on them, and it's a really difficult process.
So what fans are going to be given the option to do? Members and sorry, you're just giving us the details. I was like, oh, what's happening now?
No. Just giving you notes.
They're moving to Gateshead. What? No, right, no. So fans obviously have until
There'll be a survey that's put out at 12.
It'll already be with you
already
now
be
if
out.
you're a member or a season ticket.
Yes, and you'll have a week to fill in a survey, cite your preferences and things like that, and then the club will take all that on board, have further meetings, and what I did take from it is the badge will change in some way, shape or form.
Keeping it the same is an option.
Yeah, that was
Full
one
stop.
thing
No,
that
no,
was
it's not.
stressed. Next season it will still be the same.
Yeah.
You're looking potentially the season after.
But these kits that come out in the next few weeks will be the last kits with that badge Newcastle United have.
Get them
at
from the
least
club shop now.
in for the foreseeable. Because like I say, change can happen again and again and again. And it's unlikely that in 100 years' time this badge will still be the same.
Yes.
And I think, look, they give you an option. We know this is a process that a lot of it is box ticking, in my opinion. This is only my opinion, and I'll state this: it doesn't. These two lads either side of me might not share it either. But my opinion is it's always a box ticking exercise with these things, and the club have already made their decision on what they want to do. They've already made their decision, and they already know what the answer is.
I think they know what fans will vote for, though.
That's why it's not an option.
If you're asking me now, what will I vote for, or what I would have voted for, I'll come on this. It was revive and what's the other?
Refine or reinvent.
Them two.
I would go reinvent.
I think that'll be
Something
the.
completely
I think that'll be the general consensus among fans. I think in that survey they know that'll be refine and revive. And a redesign, I don't think the club expect fans to vote for.
So what I think they're going to have to do is there's going to have to be a redefining and reimagining within everybody's own mind about what they actually tie their identity of Newcastle United to. We've already had to go through this process in a much more drawn out sort of manner with St James's Park, and now I think everybody's kind of come to the idea that yes, we love St James's Park, but does it need modernised? Yes. And do you define your love of Newcastle United and your feeling and your connection with the stadium? Is it with the badge? Is it with the black and white stripes? Is it not that? Is it the football club? Is it more? And it almost has to, you have to beat that sort of thought process in your own mind to go to a position where you can accept change.
Yeah.
I think in some ways that's already happened with the stadium. It's going to be a much quicker process with the badge. However, what I would say, they already knew. Again, this is my opinion, and it might not be the opinion of what the lads share. I think they already knew they were going to change the stadium. They already knew they wanted to build a new one because St James's Park was not going to be fit for purpose for doing up a little bit of this, bit of that here and there. They wanted a new stadium, and that hasn't been announced yet, but that will be what happens. There will be a new stadium. Newcastle United will have one, and they will also have a new badge.
Yes.
That's fact. This consultation is box ticking.
Yeah, it's all about making it more palatable to the average fan.
But you've decided you decided this.
Yeah.
It was all on you. You know, we gave you the option. No, you didn't. You pretended like you gave you the option. Now, like I say, that's not necessarily the view of these two either side of me. That's my personal opinion. And look, we're on the Geordie Journals here to talk about our passionate opinions on certain things. And I want to say that I think it's a box ticking. And I think the decision has already been made. I think they already know exactly what they want it to look like. And I think that will be the outcome of this process. Full stop.
I hope they don't know what they're going to look
Yeah.
like. I hope they really take on board what fans think. Okay, the brand identity reaches beyond Newcastle. A Newcastle fan is always going to recognise that badge, always going to buy the shirt, go to games. It's looking at it at a global scale, and yeah, what the average fan knows about brand recognition and whether the club really seriously take on each and every fan's opinion, I'd be surprised, but it's one of those things.
I think it depends on the size of the backlash, if there were to be a major backlash, because I think comparing it to a badge a couple of years ago, Leeds United tried to
They
essentially redevelop their
sledgehammer though,
badge.
wasn't it?
But to be fair, I don't think they went through a consultation process. Such they put out on social media and it got backlash. That never changed. I do think if Newcastle, for example, were to put out a badge that this is what we want to do, and there was a major backlash, I would like to think that they would take the fans' opinion on board and would not go down that route of taking that badge if there was indeed.
When has that ever been a major backlash at Newcastle United?
Stadium?
That's not been a major backlash.
No, Mike Ashley Stadium.
The Mike Ashley Stadium is probably the one you go back to. The stadium name change.
Yes.
That was more a backlash towards him, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was.
These lot who own the club now, who I think have been great for the football club. It's not a criticism by term them these lot, but the current owners are talking about moving altogether. All he did was change a name.
Yeah.
It depends. A lot of it has context. It's not always the decision made itself. I would say the context of this today is ludicrous. It's bizarre. It makes no sense. Newcastle United, apart from the cup final and probably the semi-finals, on Sunday play the biggest game of the season. It's going to define whether they get Champions League football and they can have all the bells and whistles. And you guys have just been along with, we're going to spoke about it because we probably won't come on to it. You've literally been in there speaking to Eddie Howe half an hour before, where he's talking about injuries, tactics, opposition, whatever, game, importance, Champions League, budgets, transfers, whatever it may be. It all ties in. If he wants to have that summer that redefines the team, that's what everybody supports and what matters. And the football club have decided 2 days before to frame the whole of the football club and the narrative of Newcastle United around changing a badge. Now tell me, the kits for next season aren't even in the shops. Do it in the summer. Probably processes, we've got to get this done, got to get that done. You've already done it. You've already done what you want to do. Wait till the summer to put this process in place. That's my opinion. I think they have really, really got this wrong. You do not define the biggest day, the biggest game of the season in the Premier League in terms of without the cups and frame it around a badge change, because that's all people are going to talk about. Friday in the pubs tonight around Tyneside. Saturday morning, out and about. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Sunday morning, kick-off, man. Everybody's going to be thinking about it and going on about it. Having to go through a thought process in, right, we'll put that out of our mind and we'll support the team now. Shouldn't even be a thing.
No, I can't argue. I think the timing is silly, to be honest.
Yes.
For all the reasons mentioned there, it's literally the biggest game of the season. It's a Champions League decider, game-changing finances. If they are to win, don't qualify for Europe on Sunday, but if they take a big step towards it, the whole context of going to the summer, increased transfer budget, etc. It's so massive, that game, and the fact that we're now doing a video after speaking to Eddie Howe on a badge, I think it's not the best timing. Let's put it that way.
No. Did you ask Eddie Howe about the badge?
No, we couldn't.
No,
Really?
be on the live stream.
It's strictly under embargo.
Yeah.
Hey God, honestly.
I'm sure you wouldn't have much opinion on it.
No. Interested to know your thoughts. I suppose what we'll do is have a little word for the sponsors and then I'll do a little promotion after.
Comply IT Limited. Worrying about disposing of your old IT equipment? Don't be. Comply IT handle everything. Secure collection, detailed tracking, and certified data destruction. That's Comply IT Limited. We've also got Mitigate. Mitigate enhances workplace mental health, helping businesses stay compliant, reduce absences, and unlock higher productivity, creating healthier, happier teams. And of course, our OG sponsors, Four Rivers Financial Planning. Four Rivers Financial Planning offer holistic financial advice for all stages of life, ensuring your plan remains robust and adaptable in the ever-changing world we live in.
Right, and we're back. Right, so I'm really interested, I think the two guys alongside me are as well. What do you think about the process? What do you think about the main decision? What do you think about change, about redefine, about redesign? What is your emotions towards Newcastle United's badge and what its future may be? Do let me know in the comments, because I'm going to read every single comment, and I'm sure these guys will as well, to gauge the opinion, because what you tell us will probably help frame the type of stuff that we write and we talk about and discuss. So if you'd be interested, we'd be interested to know exactly what all of you guys. I would urge every single person who is a Newcastle United fan who watches this video to seriously think about at least adding a few words so we know and we get a gauge of the opinion, particularly of our audience. Might not be the broader audience of Newcastle United fans, but it's the people who we connect with and we like talking to you. So let us know what you think. He did a press conference before, didn't he though, Dom?
Yeah, I was keen to talk about it.
What did he say, John? Out and out?
Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Oh, going on the press conference now?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Couple of knocks. Wouldn't name the players. Hopes will be okay.
Share.
Fabian Schär.
Well, I put 2 names to him and he just went, yeah,
were
they're good.
knocks. They were
They're good.
were they not the knocks then?
No,
Well, they were the knocks after Brighton.
Who was it, Sharon?
Shea and Trippier
Trippier.
came off against Brighton. So Eddie Howe said, I'm keeping the names under wraps. There's a couple of knocks. And then I went, well, what about Shea and Trippier? And he went, yeah, they're good.
Straight face as well, by the way, and just moved on.
Right. So they're not the knocks. So everyone's all right then, aren't they?
Well, you
If
know.
you, had to, if you had to sort of do a translation of Eddie Howe, you guys do a translation
but-
all the time. Everyone's all right, aren't
I think they've got concerns. I don't know if it's them 2 players or.
Eddie Howe's never going to say a player's injured. Joe Linton was fine. Now he's out for the season. So.
On Joe Linton, actually, he's had injections. He's been in Barcelona having injections, but still likely to miss the end of the season. Which, if a player's having injections, is that not trying to
they?
push?
What are you having injections for?
Yeah,
That's
that's
what I
what I thought.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
He's not going to get away with Brazil, is he? I mean, that would
I'll
be
tell
bloody,
you what,
be bloody stupid.
Or if
that.
Newcastle were to
Under the new
struggle.
under the new manager, hasn't been confirmed yet, but there's been a couple of names touted about. So maybe Joe Linton would be keen to get himself in a
I
position.
thought it was
if he
Ancelotti, is it not him?
Not at
It's
the
going
minute.
to be, but
No.
they don't let them.
George, the former
jungle.
Benfica manager. He's just left Al Hilal.
Jesus.
George Jesus.
Jorge Jesus.
Oh, okay. That's what I mean. It doesn't sound right saying George.
George Jesus.
George Jesus.
Jesus. But yeah, whatever. We're going off topic there, but that was it. Really, I think it was a fairly low key press conference. I mean, the biggest line I took from it was Eddie Howe doesn't really like 12 p.m. kickoffs.
I hate them too. I'm with him on that. Like, absolutely. I think it's like if the badge wasn't enough to derail and derail thinking, at least in the very politest terms, then the 12 o'clock kickoff is just like throwing a grenade into a football match.
On a Sunday,
It's
as well.
like
It's not right,
everybody's. It's no fault of any fan. I do not blame. It's not me saying, "Ooh, get up for it," and like you see all these dafties online going, "Ooh, come on, everybody, sing." Get lost, right? Look, it's 12 o'clock on a Sunday. Sundays aren't the day where people are bang up for it. I'm sorry. They've got work on Monday. They've probably been out on the Friday or the Saturday. They've already done their business for the weekend. Sunday is the day of rest. In the Holy Bible, it's the day of rest. But no, in terms of everybody, you chill on a Sunday. You might go for your Sunday lunch. You're not like getting up, having your fry up in the morning and going, I'm on it today, mate. I'm going. Oh, it's Sunday. Do you know what I mean? You're not,
No,
are you?
you're right.
And
I'm back to work tomorrow.
well, that's all you're thinking. You're like, oh, I'll cut the grass today. It's lovely out there. You know, you're not thinking like, I'm gonna go and shout my heat off at the match. So it's one of those. It's just like
I wish Eddie Howe gave the response you gave. Would have been far more colourful.
that's why I could be in no position of responsibility,
Yeah.
Jordan, and you know this.
You me gaffer.
Sometimes I try to be. No, but it's just like nobody's got time to warm up. Saturday 12 o'clock's even better, but that's rubbish as well.
Yeah.
But at least when you do a Saturday, people are probably gearing their day around it. They're going,
Yeah.
you know what, I'll have a couple before and then I'll go out after.
Yeah.
And like, I'll meet all us and we'll go and have something eating. Like, Sunday's just dead. It's awful. And it's only because they were playing in that bloody Toys R Us Cup on Thursday night. That's the only reason it's 12 o'clock.
All right, to be fair, Eddie Howe mentioned the change because Chelsea made 10 changes. He was like, literally, the tie was as good as dead on Thursday.
Yeah.
They're going to turn up at St James's Park with literally a totally different 11. That Thursday game has absolutely zero impact on. I mean, I don't really buy into the fact that if you're playing midweek, you're more tired than the opposition. I do think that's quite. I think you're probably more mentally than physically.
Yeah.
Because Newcastle have been plenty of times to say, oh, they're playing in Europe, so we should have the advantage on Sunday. Never works out like that.
Biggest
So,
advantage that this club had was, and it didn't feel like it at the time, we'll have done videos, roll the clock back to May last year or whenever it was. Might even kicking into June by the time the FA Cup came around last time. But we were talking about, missed out on Europe. Newcastle United basically had a buy into that competition by finishing 7th Conference Cup. Newcastle United never kick a ball in that competition. I'll be delighted. I think it's an absolute sham. and I've got no interest in a hollow victory of winning
No.
a trophy. It is pathetic.
It would have been good for the first trophy.
No, it wouldn't. It
No,
would have actually
no,
been a shambles.
no.
It's as good as the Intertoto Cup, and it's taken me a season to evaluate
Yeah,
it.
fair enough.
But watching that Chelsea team take the mick by playing a bunch of kids against a team in a semi-final of what UEFA are trying to paint as a proper competition, and they still won about 8-1 on aggregate.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it's a shambles. I do not want Newcastle ever kicking a ball in that competition.
But if
It's
you
the
go,
Papa John's trophy of UEFA.
It's the Papa John's trophy.
but if you
exactly.
go in that competition, then Newcastle can't go and make 11 changes. Unless you call it the kids, like. But I think Chelsea's academy is far
Do you
more.
really think Chelsea, Stamford Bridge was anybody there? It's half full.
Well, no, because
Like, do you really think even us, right? So we put ourselves here, right? It's a Thursday night, semi-final of the Conference League. We're all turning up, right? Are you still up for that the same way that you are in any other competition?
I think
don't believe
I think
you
in
are.
terms of the context of Newcastle, I think we're talking about it was very differently if Newcastle hadn't won the Carabao Cup a couple of months ago. Because for me, it was like we need the trophy, get the monkey off our back.
But wouldn't it? I guarantee you, that, and I agree with that because I think that probably would have been the
Yeah,
thing.
and I
It's a
agree.
revised thing.
Speaking now,
However-
I agree with the context now.
Yeah. So,
But not-
however, but I know if that had been the first trophy, it would have brought nothing
need
but
another one.
ridicule.
Yeah.
No,
we
I-
would have been standing here going, "That's not enough."
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird, but
Yeah.
that would have been how it worked.
It's a trophy
Yeah.
the best teams can't even compete in.
Because they're not in.
That's the
They,
thing.
and they don't
The best
want,
teams have no interest in being in it. So
is the competition everybody tries to avoid.
exactly, yeah. It's a consolation prize.
Chelsea don't even want to be in it. They've won they're 2 times European champions.
I
in
mean,
the last 20
they'll
years.
probably
They've no
enjoy the
interest.
fact of being a team to have completed the set, if you like.
It's better for them
Yeah.
kids. It's better for the kids who played on Thursday night to end up getting medals, and it's good for the manager. The manager will probably say, at least that was a consolation, and we got through a good season. If we can scrape in the Champions League as well, that's a good start for me.
Yeah.
Now we kick on. It's a good thing for some people at the football club. But you kind of telling me any of them lot in the stands and that, they'll be like, "Boy, love that, Conference League champions." It's not happening, is it?
Not
We'll
now.
take it, like. We'll take it.
I think if we were
We'll be
West,
embarrassed.
I think if we were in West Ham's position a couple of years ago, I think we look upon the Conference League in a very different way. But because now we've won the cup and the monkey's off the back, the Conference League is a hindrance more than anything
But
else.
we're a much bigger club than West Ham, and West Ham at the moment aren't sitting here going, "We need another." Newcastle United would not have felt content with that trophy.
Yeah.
Newcastle United pre-takeover may well have accepted that trophy, but still, I think the ghost would have remained. What Newcastle United did by winning a domestic trophy was remove all talk of that altogether. Even you do see some of these supposed big six dafties will talk about, it was only the League Cup. Well, yeah, it was only the League Cup, but you've all won it, and you've all won it plenty, and you'll stick it on your honours list, and it's
Yeah.
in your trophy cabinet, so you
Yeah.
can shut up about that. So even there's a little hint of that with the one Newcastle won that is undoubted. So imagine it was the Conference League, man.
Yeah.
You would be getting it would be like, "Oh, you've won the Toy Shop Cup." Like,
Yeah.
seriously, shut your mouths and sit back down, Newcastle.
Inter-
It wouldn't have taken anything away.
It will be the Intertoto Cup argument
Exactly.
in 10 years' time. Well,
And do you
we've
know
won
what? It's a closer equivalent to that than the Cup Winners' Cup ever was.
that.
It's a closer equivalent.
Yeah, sort of.
It is.
Like, it's an actual tournament. The Intertoto Cup's just a few
Well,
games.
Intertoto Cup at the start was a tournament.
Yeah, but no one
Used to be a
won
group
it.
stage at the start.
Yeah, but no one won it until...
3 winners at a time. And stuff.
Yeah, it was- it
I know
wasn't
what
a
you mean.
proper
I know what you
tournament.
mean, but it's closer in stature to that than what the
Cup Winners' Cup-
Cup Winners' Cup was a proper
Cup Winners' Cup
Yeah.
sounds better.
Cup Winners' Cup was a proper tournament.
Yeah. But,
Proper teams won that. And proper teams wanted to win it.
I mean, Newcastle won't be Conference League. That's probably none of their interest. They're looking at Champions League,
think-
Europa League, worst case scenario.
It's not mathematical, is it? They could possibly still end up in it, but I really hope that Palace win the cup.
Palace win the cup.
Newcastle
basically.
finish
Seventh.
seventh. So Newcastle finish 7th, which I don't think they will, and Palace win the cup, which I'm not ruling out. By the way, it feels a little bit to me like the year of the underdog.
I think so
Um,
as well. Yeah.
I think it's PSG's year in the Champions League. I think Newcastle United have taken that big leap.
Be interesting to see who
Palace.
wins the Europa League and then 6 teams in English teams in the
Well, that's-
Champions League.
well, no, even that hints into the idea that neither of them are football clubs are underdogs, but it's still the idea of the underdog, isn't it? You look at the time because we need to get something written.
Yeah, sorry, I was checking.
Yeah,
checking
right.
A few bits.
Is there any final business? Because I think you need to get some writing done.
No,
That'd be
big game.
responsible.
Big game on Sunday. We'll be there.
Yeah,
Good to see you here today because
I'm not going to be.
No.
I'm in the royal box.
yes,
No, I've been kindly invited. It doesn't happen very often to riffraff like me, but I have been kindly invited to a box.
We'll
So
give you a wave.
I'll be thoroughly enjoying it with my good friend Keith Patterson and a few other people.
Friend of the channel.
Friend of the channel. Got plenty of them. Did we build a new friend of the channel recently?
Monkenstein?
Monkenstein?
Good lad. You, man.
Monkenstein
I'm
on
jealous.
TikTok? I don't
Jealous
know.
you got me.
People might not even know who that is, by the way.
The guy who loves to TikTok out the time bridge.
My good buddy Liam.
Team Monkenstein!
If you don't know who he is,
Look on TikTok.
what you doing?
Yeah, go and find him on TikTok. Right, good night, good evening, good morning, whatever. Beautiful day here on Tyneside. Fingers crossed it'll be just as nice on Sunday. These guys will be enjoying it from the press box. I'll be in the royal box. And we'll all see you there on Sunday.